Depth I Took podcast back.
Back in the Dubai studio.
Yep. How you feeling?
Feeling fabulous, feeling refreshed with this iced tea. The last 7 days have been productive, but I have actually taken rest. And I feel now posted on my LinkedIn because I'm being better with social media. Shout out Harley, trying. But I posted on my LinkedIn the other day about like just at least taking 1 day a week to rest. And I did do that this week. So I do feel regenerated.
Nice.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm good. Just back into the routine of things. Trained this morning, like I'm back into like my training routine and stuff. So yeah, I'm good.
I clocked your watch. I'm like, how do you burn this many calories? I don't burn that many calories when I work out.
But
I think it's a bit
like
unfair.
men statistically burn more calories than women even if you do
True.
the same workout, just because of my mass is bigger. So
More weight to carry around.
yeah, but yeah, we're here to interview another guest on the podcast that delves into the journey that people have taken towards greatness, towards success.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear the journey of our guest today because gone from being a DJ in the East End to the worldwide touring DJ to doing lots of different other things that come around in and around that. So
Having like shows on, BBC, Radio 1,
exactly,
Capital
yeah.
Extra, and DJing for, like a very, very famous artist. He's Tiny Temper's DJ. Like you don't see Tiny Temper without our guest today. Now I've got to say his name now. I was trying to build up, but it's cool.
Sorry.
With our guest today, DJ Charlesy. You don't see Tiny Temper without him. You don't see Disturbing. But yeah, DJ Charlesy, welcome to the pod, bro.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me, guys. Yeah. It's a pleasure being here, and I've listened to a lot of episodes. And I reached out to you to get me onto this pod as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for having me, man.
No, I appreciate you reaching out, man. It means that we're doing something right. If we've got like the likes of Charlesy.
Yeah, exactly. Coming, saying they want to be part of the podcast. Come, tell your story. That is what we are here for, honestly. From our side, we like to ask all of our guests the same question when they first come on, and that is, what has been, I'm sure you know because you've been watching the podcast,
Yeah.
so I hope you don't have your answers too staged already. What has been a highlight from the last 7 days of your life?
It's a bit of a weird one. I've been away. I got back Sunday night. So my highlight is actually that I've gone back to work, if that makes sense. Like for the first time in years, I went on holiday and switched off. So I've come back refreshed, ready to go again. And that's the first time I felt like that after being away.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably my highlight of the week so far.
Yeah, nice.
Definitely.
Because there are not many people say that about going to work, even after a holiday, like they're like, back to work. But like you can see like just how you said that, that you feel like re-energized. And
it's mad because I was saying it to my wife the other day. We go on holidays and I get back and I feel drained, like back straight into it. But like Monday morning, I was just ready to go. It's mad.
Means you enjoy what you do. That's
Yeah,
goals.
I don't know if it's that.
What was different about this holiday?
I think it's more just like it's the first time I've actually properly switched off for a holiday.
Okay.
So I think that's it. Like phone, didn't touch my phone, apart from a few social media stuff. Coming back and knowing that I've had a break now, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Nice, man. And you say you come back to work. Like obviously, I've introduced you as DJ Charlesy. When you say work, what do you mean by work?
This week's work, it's mad. I've got about 5 day jobs. So my day-to-day at the minute is O Beach. So I'm the director of events at O Beach for here and Ibiza. So it was more just catching up on everything that I'd missed over the last 10 days. And then also working on the tour managing stuff I'm doing, researching for the next thing that I've got coming up. So that's, work for me is not just one thing, it's 50 things in one.
And have you always been like that? So when you were younger, were you always like dipping into lots of different things that interested you?
Yeah, I think so. Like, especially in the industry that we're in, massively. Like, growing up, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. So it was a lot of trying different things. Even if I stuck with the DJing, I wanted to go on the business side of it, whether that's doing events, record label stuff, radio, anything that I can get my hands on working on, I was always trying to do. So, yeah, I think juggling a million things at once has always been a part of me. And I don't think I'd feel normal if I didn't.
Yeah. How old are you when you started DJing? And what kind of steered you in that direction?
I was probably about 13 when I started. My older brother is also a DJ. So I spent years literally, like we had bunk beds. I'd be on the top bunk just watching him DJ. He'd never let me touch his stuff. And then he would go out. And then there was one time he came back and caught me on his decks. And then from that moment, he was like, let me actually show you how to do this properly. And then that must have been when I was about 13, done DJ competitions. Like there used to be, you might even know, there used to be a brand called UK Club Culture under 18s, like all around England. So I entered a competition when I was like 14. I think I came second or third, but won a set of decks as well. And then from that point, I was like, yeah, I need to do this. I need to be a DJ.
Nice. And then was that kind of like you were set on that, you know, growing up in like your household, when you tell your parents, oh, I want to be a DJ, were they for that, or were they kind of pushing you down a different...
I think coming from like a musical family, there was never any pressure to kind of be outside of music. Like if I said I wanted to be a DJ, there was no one was telling me you can't be a DJ. Like still do school, go through school properly, which I did up until like college. So there was no pressures to kind of do anything else but music. I think there was probably more pressure to be in music than not to be in music, which is a bit mad, but...
Yeah. And is that partly to do with your uncle, or...?
He plays a part.
Yeah.
But my whole family, like my uncle is my uncle.
Who's your uncle?
My uncle's Billy Ocean.
Just a small guy.
The legend.
Yeah.
The legend. And then there's like his daughter's a singer. My aunt sung like backing singer for Michelle Gale back in the day. My cousin was in the industry working for the BBC, but as an accountant, so still in the industry. Obviously my brother. My dad was probably the only one that wasn't anything to do with music. But yeah, just like, it's just ingrained in us, like constantly be in the industry.
So you said you like to obviously juggle lots of different things. What did you dabble in when you were younger? When you started getting into the music industry, you started DJing more, you obviously started having access to different things. Which paths did you go down?
There was always like a part of me being a DJ and DJing. I knew I wanted to do events as well. So like, remember back in the day, 16, from when I was like 16 to 18, I used to put on under 18 parties on top of a pub in a function room where 16 to 18-year-olds could drink illegally. And then that just built up. Like for a good year, I used to do it every single week, have 200 to 300 people come to these parties.
Whoa.
Mad.
Like it used to go as far as I didn't have the money to be printing proper tickets. I would literally make my own ticket on an A4 piece of paper and cut out these little tickets and sell them to people. And then from then it was like, okay, now to do an event. Then got the attention of a lot of clubs around the area where I was. And then they used to be like, can you bring these people down to the club after your party, which finished at like 11 o'clock. So I'd be walking from Whitechapel to Mile End with
a
like
gang of people.
150 people coming to Purpley Free at the time. And then just built up to the point where turn 18, a lot of these people were 18, and then just started doing my own events, to then by 19 becoming the head of events at Purple E3.
Mad.
Sick.
And were you DJing at your own events as well?
Yeah. Like that was a big part of it, making sure I was the DJ, the promoter, created my own artwork. Like I needed to make sure I knew how to do everything within it to be able to deliver it. And I think a part of that is to save the money as well. Like if I know how to do it all, then I don't need to pay no one to do it.
It's very true.
Yeah.
But marketing back then is very different to how you can market an event right like now. And being like 16, there's only so much you know and so many people you know. So what did you do to sell those tickets?
A lot of it was like word of mouth, especially at that time. It was like different friendship groups. This would have been during school and college times. So it was like making sure that different schools had my key person to sell the tickets, pay them a commission to sell the tickets. Like it's mad because you fast forward 10 years and I'm doing deals for the same sort of thing for people to earn commission on doing the same thing. So then, it was word of mouth massively. And then people, obviously the biggest seller was that you could drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And this pub that we was in did not care. They were making money on the bar.
Yeah.
More money upstairs in the function room of a pub than they were making downstairs in the main pub. yeah, like I just wish you could do more word of mouth stuff now, and it actually spread the way it used to spread.
Yeah, it's not the same now, is it?
Nah,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
But it's technically easier, but there's a million more things going on, so it's actually harder.
When you were, I guess, so you were like sort of maybe 18 when you were at Purple E3.
Yeah.
So at that time, like your peers are like going off to uni, mate, or college, and then maybe uni, etc. Did you kind of like in your mind like see what you were doing as like your long term? Like were you just taking each day as it came at that age?
I didn't think about it. Like it's mad because people always ask me, "Did you go to uni?" No, but I actually went to a uni to party for about 4 months. Like literally lived with a friend that was going to uni, and I'd party, and it kind of helped the journey in terms of like the events in unis and stuff like that. But yeah, I just didn't think about it. It's weird because I try and think, did I know what I wanted to be? Did I know what I wanted to do within the industry? But I didn't. Everything just kept coming at the right time. And then it was a matter of just building on it.
Yeah.
So what was the next thing that came? You're doing events, you're partying, you're enjoying, not really looking at your next prospect. Like you said, it just came. So what came for you?
During that time, I actually worked in a school. So I was like the teacher's assistant from when I was 18, teaching assistant for a music teacher. So that involved like whether it's DJing, instruments and everything like that. And then kind of after that, during that time, I spent a lot of time going to One Extra with a close family friend, Twin B. And I used to literally get up at 5 a.m, sit in the studio on his breakfast show. I did that for like 2 years straight, just to learn, just to see how it was. And then he said to me, I'm DJing on, I think it was the N-Dubs tour at the time.
You were DJing?
No, he was.
Yeah.
And he was like, just come. So I went on the road with him. The first 2 shows he DJ'd. And then the third show, he was like, go for it. Like,
wow.
Cool. DJing in between the acts, like not for N-Dubs, but in between the acts. And on that tour was Tiny Timber. So this is before Pass Out, before all of that.
He was like a support
act, yeah. And then a show came where his DJ didn't turn up. So then Twin was like, they've asked me to do it, but do you want to do it? Like, yeah, cool.
I bet his DJ regretted that.
I actually speak to the DJ now and he don't at all, but and then ended up finishing the tour DJing for Tiny, and then the rest is kind of history from there. It's mad. Just became his tour DJ off the back of that.
Yeah. So what, like, talk me through, because I've toured like with artists and stuff as well. Talk me through like you're on tour with N-Dubs. N-Dubs are hot at that time.
Yeah.
Right? Is this when like Channel U is like popping and stuff? What does that feel like to you? You know, you're on tour with N-Dubs. You know, you're obviously Tiny hadn't blown as such yet, but still you're in that environment, in that space. How did you feel?
For me at that time, obviously I'm just soaking everything up, like learning. I didn't even know that was a thing, DJing in between the acts on the tour. I didn't know how a tour worked. I didn't know anything about it. So at that time, it was more about learning. And then like on a financial level, weren't even thinking about that at all. But the experience of like, this is N-Dubs at the height, going backstage, going outside, Dappy getting hounded by fans. Like, it's mad because obviously my uncle's my uncle, but I'd never done touring my uncle. I'd go to a show and see the show and that's it. So seeing it from that side, that really gave me like the first to want to do it properly.
Yeah.
And then I think obviously with a Tiny thing falling into place, I was like, yep, sign me up straight away.
So yeah, that's mad, isn't it? Because Tiny, so you came in just before Tiny blew, and then he drops Pass Out.
Yeah.
And what happened next? Like, talk us through how life changed.
It all changed within probably 3 months. Like after the N-Dubs tour, Pass Out then comes out, and then it's like, oh, we've got the odd show here and there, come and do it. They'll come and pick me up from my house. I'd get in the car, not say a word, like just go and do the show, go back, and then Pass Out really blew. And then I remember doing one show for MTV, and he was like, I need you to do my backing vocals. At that time, I'd never picked up a mic in my life. Like, I hated it. Like me even talking in front of a lot of people back then, never happening.
That's hard to imagine now. Like the first time I saw you DJing, like I remember, like obviously we'll fast forward to like your career out here and stuff. But the first time I saw you DJing, you were like on the mic. You know, you were encouraging that table to spend more than that table, and you know what I mean. So,
but it's all down to that moment. Like we did this show, and it's like you need to back me on my ad libs or any parts that I'm not catching, and I'm like, how the hell do I do that? So I just kind
How
of...
did you do it?
It took a lot of learning the lyrics straight away, and then just times I'd be clashing his vocal. It was mad at the start. And then we just the chemistry kind of grew to the point where it's like after a year or just before the first tour we did, I could literally know every single part that he's not going to catch. I could look at him and be like, he'll look at me and be like, I need you now, to the point where it's just seamless throughout the whole set.
Wow. Did you do any like rehearsals and things like that before you had got to that stage with the chemistry?
We always rehearse, but not, you can never rehearse that. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's mad. Because even when I think about it now, I've not thought about it for a while, but if we did a show tomorrow and he had a sore throat, I would know exactly when to catch him. Just by him looking, his breathing, like everything. It's mad. It's stuff you can't teach. Yeah. Then the confidence kind of came with a mic more and more. First tour's done, in the bag, me just literally as a tour DJ.
How old are you at this point?
I'd say 21 maybe. I'm so bad with dates and ages. Yeah. And then it was like album's gone platinum, straight into an arena tour, planning all of that. And then that's where my head starts going again. And I'm like, I don't just want to be the tour DJ on this. Like, yes, I'm going to warm up the crowd, blah, 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 but I want to get involved with the production. I want to be involved on the music direction, like everything. So kind of learnt that whole first arena tour, what everything was. I'd be sitting behind the lighting desk, seeing how the desk works, visuals, the whole lot. To then the second arena tour, where I'm fully involved in the production, the design, lighting cues, pyro cues, the whole lot. And then kind of that's where that whole journey, my whole journey of like 360 in terms of a show, knowing what happens.
It's interesting because you describe yourself as kind of like more so a shy character, not wanting to talk in front of everyone, but you're also very forthcoming because there's not many people that will pluck up the courage to go and sit behind these certain people to learn all of this. Like that's a lot of stuff to learn in like one sitting or one period of time, whilst you're also being a DJ in probably one of the places, like I'm sure you're performing to a humongous crowd. Had you performed to crowds that big before? It
just got bigger and bigger. Like there's the in between the two tours, we had probably the craziest festival run where we did Glastonbury that year on the main stage to the point where you can't even see the end of the crowd. Like, and it for me, that the shows just became seamless. The DJing on the shows became seamless. Like it was an afterthought that I didn't need to think about that anymore. And then I think that's where my head starts going crazy, where it's like, what's next?
Yeah.
And then that's when I'm sitting behind all these people. And yeah, like people would say I'm a shy person if you meet me at first, but if I know I'm interested in something, I'm going in.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's not that you're shy, you just talk when you want to.
Yeah, my wife would say that too, to be fair.
I guess it's similar to like when when you talked about your early days of like promoting those events in the function room, and you were doing all the promoting and making the tickets yourself and DJing, and you were basically doing the whole 360 thing then, and it's kind of like
evolved.
It feels like that's kind of you as you kind of progress in your career.
Yeah, definitely. And especially like with the tiny shows and the arena shows, that's stuff that people have gone and learnt in uni, the whole lot. So I'm not saying that I was ever got to that sort of level, but I knew enough to say that needs to be changed, that needs to be changed. And it's just like, I've now used that in my later years for everything else I've done.
And when you're putting yourself into that position of not just being, and I don't want to say not just being a tour DJ because that's a big thing, but being more than the tour DJ, how do you position yourself to do that? How do you put yourself into having those kinds of conversations? Because I feel lots of people want something which is actually within their reach, but they don't necessarily have the courage to ask for that or the opportunity.
A big part of that is kind of knowing what I want to do next. Like, I always wanted to be one step ahead of the people behind me or next to me. Like the mic thing, I knew I had to do that to make me stand out to the other DJs that were coming through. I know I had to be a tour DJ to be different to the other DJs coming through. And then that's kind of how everything's evolved in everything. And to the point where we'd go and do a show, a festival, anything, I'm making sure I'm leaving that place knowing who the promoter is, having that conversation with the promoter, all the artist managers. Like, people always used to say I'm mad. Like, why are you not trying to get the contacts of the artists? And I'll be like, because I'm not going to message an artist for a show or anything like that. I want the contacts of the managers, the agents, everything like that. And it just kind of got to that point where I knew networking was key, and that was what was going to take everything to the next level. And I think just knowing that, and I don't know how I knew to do that so early in life, but I just knew I needed these things to take me that one step above everyone else. And it goes to the same when I first started on radio. It was like, now there's tour DJs, now everyone's using the mic, now everyone's doing all of these residencies. What's next? Let me go on radio. Spent ages trying to get on radio, used that whole angle of being Tiny's tour DJ to get on radio. And then it was, how do I shift to become my own name as Charlesy and not Tiny's tour DJ? That was a whole nother thing. So it's like just always trying to be that next step. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That whole process of you going onto radio. So was your first radio show at BBC or were you doing some stuff?
Capital Extra was the first one. So this was just when Choice finished.
Okay, yeah.
And then I was one of the first to be on Capital Extra.
Yeah.
And that was purely the producer, the head of the station had come to a Tiny show. No, I think he had seen me at Wireless Festival because I was DJing in between all the acts on Wireless Festival. And then he got in touch. Matt literally sent me a tweet and it was like, come and see us. And I still to this day, I remember my first demo. Never done radio in my life. Like I said, the mic thing was alien to me. So doing a mic thing with no one in front of me was even more alien. And I just remember that demo as just me shouting, shouting, introing tunes. And then it took like 4 months to kind of really refine the demo, and then ended up with a weekly show on Capital Extra.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when this guy saw you at Wireless, were you on the mic in between sets and stuff like that as well? So he knew how you come across?
Yeah, like the Wireless thing, again, is just another thing where I wanted to be one step ahead of everyone else. We did a full festival tour in Australia, and I was amazed by the fact they had a DJ in between all the acts, but the DJ, the table used to come out of the roof in front of the stage. DJ would finish, next act comes on, it goes up. And then the promoter of Wireless did Tiny's first two tours. So I was like, I sent him an email, I was like, I've seen this happen in Australia, it's such a big thing, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, all right, let's try it at Wireless.
So you positioned yourself, you're like, I've done this here, let me do it there.
Well, I didn't do it in Australia. I was just Tiny. I was just Tiny's DJ on Australia. But I saw another DJ do it. And then I sent the email saying, I think you should do this at Wireless. And they loved it straight away. And I did like 5 years of Wireless in between the acts.
As DJ Charlesy.
Yeah.
So then that helped you grow your name as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was going to touch on. Like, what kind of steps did you take to? Because it's so easy to be associated to, an artist, or, even in other aspects, whether we're talking music or non-music, it's so easy. Like, if you get a name as this, it's so easy to kind of, be associated as that. So how did you, navigate your way around so that you could kind of brand yourself as?
I think, again, it's that forward thinking where it's like, for whatever reason, Tiny started going downhill. If I'm still Charlesy, Tiny's tour DJ, I'm going to go downhill as well. So it was just trying to think of all of these different steps. Wireless was a massive part of it. That was probably the start. Radio, at the start, was Tiny's tour DJ, and then literally come off the back of that. Any other tiny shows or tours we did, I'd make sure that I've got a gig straight after the show in the nearest club. And it all just helped to kind of take that tour DJ tag off. To the point where now I'm Charlesy. Now it's later on with tiny shows, we create a show called Tiny and Charlesy instead of Tiny Temper on his own. Do you get what I mean? So it took a while. And I had an agent at that time who helped kind of really position that as well. But it's probably, to me, in my career as a DJ, that was the toughest thing to do, try and take that off.
And then obviously you're DJing and you've stepped out as Charlesy and you're on radio. How are you, because also there's a business side to you as well, right? That is probably starting to kind of get curious and, eventually you go on to set up Disturbing and like, how does that transition happen?
Again, using that platform of Tiny's, knowing how big he was and the Disturbing brand was, it was like, we need an event. And then I think our first kind of big Disturbing event was Disturbing Ibiza at Hard Rock in Ibiza. And I wasn't too involved in creating that because the venue actually created it based off the back of Tiny being the headliner. And then the following years was like, let's do this as Disturbing. Tiny will still headline these events. This is what I'm proposing to the guys. Tiny will still do these events, but let's book a full lineup. Let's really introduce like hip hop and R&B and urban music into Ibiza. And then that's where the business side started. So from the second year of Disturbing Ibiza, I was creating the stage designs, booking all the talent, all the logistics of the events. And then that's where that fully kind of started.
So obviously there's so much that goes into creating an event, like you said, like stage design, choosing what artists come and go. Was there a particular part that you enjoyed the most?
Probably like the production side of it. Like the people I was working with on Ibiza would literally sit at a table like this. I would just scribble what I think it should look like. Would work for 3-4 weeks on bringing that to life. And I think just seeing something from a scribble to real life, to me is like, there's no better feeling.
Yeah.
I can book talent, I can book the artists, but they're actually performing on that, what I've created. Like I didn't create the artist, I created that. And that's, to me, that's always the fun, the best part, even to this day. Like the stuff I put on now or whatever, just seeing the production, and that was just production. Like the stuff I've done in Dubai, from site maps of a festival to the traffic flow to all of that, like that's what I'm most passionate about in an event.
Did you ever find it a challenge to, I guess, because there's almost two things going on there. There's like your creativity and, being a creative, and then now balancing that with, sitting, I guess there is an element of creativity to drawing a site map and stuff, but it, like, did you find that sometimes like maybe you're focusing too much on this and then you're neglecting that, or?
No, because I think it's the 360 of it. If I'm running the event and it's my event, or I'm working for someone that I've created this, like there's no either side. Like everything's whole. So I have to focus. Every part of it needs to get my attention. Like whether that's booking the artist, whether that is a traffic flow, whether that is the lighting design. Like there's, I don't know, not blowing my own trumpet, but there's probably not many people that are able to do a 360 in an event like that. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So with the relationships I have, all the networking I've built up over the years, like even going down to the first Black Coffee show in the harbour, from booking him to the full design of the site, like I did the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's, I would never want to be, and this is my own problem and it's probably going to be a downfall at some point, I have to be in control of everything. And it's sad, but like I always feel I can do something quicker than someone I'll pay to do it.
Yeah.
So I have to. It's mad.
As long as you got the time to do it, then it's okay.
I don't have the time to do it. I don't at all have the time to do it. But the passion's there.
Yeah. So you set up Disturbing. At what point did Dubai become a thing?
Tiny years, like I'm talking probably 13 years ago, did a show actually at the Lodge. So all the old school Dubai heads will know where that is. And then from that point, I was like, no, this place is serious. So we did loads of shows in between. And then the launch of White, which I would probably say is about 8 or 9 years ago, came and done that. And goes back to what I said earlier. I was not leaving White unless I got the owner's contact and all of this. And then started the communication with the owner and then became the resident DJ, like outside of Tiny, became the resident DJ. They had Toy Room at the time as well. And it got that mad to the point where I would fly here on a Monday, DJ Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, finish at 4, go straight to the airport, land into London and go straight to radio. And I did that for 4 years in a row.
Mad.
What? That is crazy. 4 years non-stop. I guess you got Ramadan was your breather period.
Ramadan and summer.
Yeah.
Like,
but still, that's a lot. I was just going to ask you, how did you juggle everything? Because, and at the same time, did tours with Tiny stop at that point then?
no. And that I'd be back in England on a Friday and then have weekend shows with Tiny.
Wow.
Wow. And so at this point, had you met your wife or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was, I'm guessing you weren't married then, or were you?
We weren't married.
Yeah.
We had one kid at the time.
How was that like, juggling a relationship? Like at the time, was your wife living in the UK or in Dubai?
Yeah, she was in England in that whole period. And there's a couple years before that, kind of 4 years back and forth. We lived here twice and then went back because I was either busier in the UK or whatever. But she's always been like understanding with it to the point where we made that decision to come here full time, me partying at F1 and Blue Marlin on the phone. And she was like, you're just enjoying life and I'm here with 2 kids.
Yeah.
And it was literally...
I was going to say, how do you manage that?
Yeah.
Because she's looking after children, you're... I don't know if you were partying or not, but you're the DJ at the parties, right? So there's an element of enjoyment there.
That time I was partying, so I think that was the cherry on top. And it was like, literally that phone call was, you're just there enjoying. The weather weren't good in England. It was, December. And then I said, why don't we just move to Dubai? And then 2 months later, we're here. Literally, that decision, she was like, okay, cool.
And then COVID hit?
And then COVID hit.
And then what happened for you?
Probably the darkest time in my life. Like, we had just moved. I came out first in January. The kids and my wife came out in February. They went to school for a week and then lockdown hit. And in that year, that summer was probably going to be my biggest summer as Charlesy on my own. Weren't many Tiny stuff, but I literally would have been on a plane every day. And then it all just went to the point where we put all of our savings into moving here. Obviously working as with what we do, we're not getting paid a salary. It's you earn as you go. To go into zero was like, for the first 6 months, probably the darkest point in my life, 100%.
How did you navigate that though? With obviously you're living in the sun, you've moved your family here. It's a beautiful place to be. Like, you have your 2 kids who are like 5,
3 and 6.
Yeah, at those ages, like kids in general, they want a lot of attention, right? So how did you kind of muster up courage to be able to be there around them all the time and all of that?
I don't think I did at first. Like, my wife is strong and she was living with her sister at the time and their kids. So the kids were always fine. And my wife always made sure. But at the start, I was like not getting out of bed, snappy. And it's just like to be so busy for so long to then just literally nothing.
And I guess as well, was there like a challenge because you've gone from, probably like being the breadwinner, making however much money you're making to support and provide for your family to now, like as a man, like what?
100%. Pride's gone. Like the plan was to come here and my wife not work. Like I knew we had I was coming into running a beach club here, and I knew we was going to be fine. And then you're not. It's pride's gone. you feel like you look back as well and you're like, should have set up more to be for this situation, but you never think like that. And it took I'd probably say 6 to 7 months for me to actually not be okay, but be better than what I was. And then luckily we was probably the first place in the world to come back to work. So yeah, it was tough.
Is that what helps you to kind of come out of it then, because you were able to go back to do some work?
Yeah, it definitely helped. And then like we were saying earlier, the sun helps. Like to wake up and the sun's shining. I always say it to people, I'm like, if I was in England during COVID, I don't know what would have happened. Like, that's why I think so much, if I had to leave Dubai, I'm not going back to England, or I'm not going somewhere that is cold and dark. Yeah. Like, I need that sunshine. It's such a big part of my life. Like, I have to. Yeah. But yeah, it was a tough time. But
you're through that tough time now, which is fantastic.
Well through it.
Yeah, you went back to work, and obviously you're doing so many things now. So it's like, where did you then start off as we were all coming out of COVID? You had to then start again, I guess, to a certain degree. Obviously, in a much better position because you have your network. But where did you see it as a time for you to start again? I'm DJ Charlesy. I'm coming out there. I'm not even just a DJ. There's so much more I want to do.
I think out here, I already had that kind of name with the years before at White and stuff like that. I actually went the other way. Like the DJing side was the last thing I wanted to do in Dubai. Like I opened Paradise Beach on the Palm, a few other venues, done big events. So it was like just refining that side of things. Like I get heavily involved in pre-openings and what the actual venue looks like, where there's money to be made, how the DJ booth should be, and just more on the creative side of things because I knew that's what my passion was. Like,
so was coming out of COVID actually kind of a good thing for you because everywhere was having to relaunch?
Yeah, but I also pre-COVID, like moving here, I was coming into something solid anyway, like with the group that I was working with. So I kind of knew that was always the light at the end of the tunnel, which I didn't think about during COVID. But yeah, coming off the back of it, I knew the work was there. I knew what I needed to do, and that was all without me being a DJ. Like I never wanted to move to Dubai having to focus on just being a DJ.
I guess as well, like if you've got a family and stuff, you know, you want to be present, and DJing takes you away from that, right?
Like even now, I think, what did I do? 2 of your events? They were the only 2 night events I've probably done in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Like I'm not. I'll DJ
and even
at beach
then,
clubs.
like your family came through, right?
Yeah, they'd come. Yeah. Like I'd just get me home by 9 o'clock. I'm up at 5:30 every day with the kids, taking them to school. Like I need that.
Yeah.
Because especially in the summer when I'm gone, like Dubai is my winter, not relax, but be at home. And in summer I can go and do everything I need to do. Get in at 6 a.m. if I need to be in at 6. Yeah, it's mad.
So what has been like one of your most enjoyable launches or projects that you've worked on while you've been in Dubai?
Probably the Black Coffee one. No. Yeah, a part of that. But Expo was a massive thing for me. And again, that goes back to Scribbles, to this, to that. We got approached to bring younger people to Expo because they were struggling to get the people in. So I had to come up with this whole program plan of how that looks. And at the end of it, sitting there with like sheikhs, having to present to them how it's going to look, how it's going to work. And then seeing it all come off, like booked Jason Derulo, Neo, Tiesto, Black Coffee. I did an event at Expo as well. So that's definitely a highlight out here. But then the main one would have been the Harbour Show. Like,
how many people were at Harbour?
That was 15,000 people.
Wow.
And that's the first one they've done, like we had done on the Harbour.
Yeah.
So that
I went to that one. It was mad. Normal people that are going to events, they don't think about the stuff about like how are the roads looking, you know, in the lead up to it.
For 15,000 people to come through, yeah.
And it didn't work the first time. I remember standing outside on that road thinking this is an absolute shambles. But that's how you learn. Like then the next one I did, full road traffic management, didn't allow half of the cars unless you had a permit to come into the harbour. So it's like they're the ones where I'm like, okay, I've learnt that. I know what to do next. And even positioning of toilets, positioning of where the bars need to be, the whole lot. Like
things that you don't think about, or like, especially as someone that's just a consumer just coming in, you don't think about, have they put the bars in the right place? And unless it's in an annoying place, that, why didn't they think about where to put the toilets? Why didn't they do this?
Yeah, it's mad. And even like still now with some of the stuff I'm doing at O Beach or even the races the other day, done the full plan for our area. And it's like people asking me questions about why are we putting that there? And I'm like justifying it. And then they're like, okay, cool. And it's they're the ones where I'm like, yeah,
I know what I'm talking about.
You've lived it, so you know.
Yeah. And when you see it in process, you're even more like, yeah, I was right.
Yeah. And when you're describing a lot of these projects, you're saying we. Who is we?
So the 10 years, including that 4 years back and forth and all of that, I was working with Admine Group. So 50 different roles to the end, becoming the events director there. And then finished with them start of last year and then moved to O Beach on the pre-opening team, but actually went to O Beach to become head of live events. So nothing to do with the beach club. I was going to do bigger shows with them and start their record label, and then kind of got through opening, and then they needed my help with the venue. So now I'm looking after the venue.
I think that's so good. And I think like one thing from listening to your journey that I've picked up is, and you mentioned it in terms of like, you know, networking and stuff, and, you know, like you can see like so many like opportunities. Obviously, you know, you deserve to be where you are and stuff, but so many opportunities are literally because, you know, you've taken that time to nurture a relationship with someone. And so, what would you say to people that are like trying to catch a break?
Network. To me, there's no better thing to do. Like, you never know who you're going to meet, and be nice. Like, it's the thing that gets to me the most is if you're not nice to someone, you don't know when you're next going to need them. And I've seen 360 circles come around loads. Like, I've especially in Dubai, if you work in a venue, you could be a DJ at a venue, fall out with a manager. I can guarantee you that manager's going to be in another venue that you're going to go to try and work in, and you weren't nice and you're not going to get in there.
Yeah.
And it's the same for the managers to the DJs or whatever. But yeah, networking and just staying humble to me is the biggest advice anyone can have. And don't be afraid to try new things, and not everything is a price. I've done so much for free, but for the benefit of me, where people are quick to be like, yeah, but that's not my fee, I can't do this. No, that don't exist.
Yeah, sometimes the value isn't monetary, it's experience or a lot of other things.
And you've only like, if you look at the biggest artists in the world, and you want to, people ask me so much when I'm booking talent, how much is that person? That person doesn't have a set fee, because you could be going to do Coachella. The price for that artist at Coachella ain't going to be the same price for a festival that's got millions of dollars. Like, but you're going to play Coachella because it's the biggest festival in the world. Like, so when people ask me that, I'm like, you could be a DJ, but your price shouldn't be fixed. Yeah. Like, I don't have a set price here. I will go and play stuff that I know I'll enjoy. I'm happy to do it cheaper because I'll enjoy it. Or I'll go and play another place where I'll play it for free because I know what it's going to do for my name.
It's refreshing to hear someone with that kind of perspective, because I think a lot of people focus on money rather than experience these days, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, my wife probably don't feel the same, but you have to. Like, it's all part of the journey. Like the first wireless I did it for free, and that was like 10-hour days. But look what came off the back of it.
Yeah.
And I bet, like, even you go back to, say, when Twin gave you the chance to kind of like warm up, DJ for Tiny and stuff, like that was probably like...
Yeah, I had to pay my own way to get there. Like,
yeah.
And that's,
you're paying for the experience.
You have to invest in yourself. Like anyone who's got a business, you've either got investment or you've invested in yourself. If you're a DJ, if you're anyone in the industry, you are the business.
Yeah.
And a business don't just all of a sudden take off. You've got to invest in yourself.
you've clearly had a good head on your shoulders from a young age, like very driven, going after exactly what you want and making sure you're networking with the right people, not even necessarily the right people, just people so that they're there ready for whatever it is, the next chess move you want to make. You just slid in there a minute ago when you went to O Beach, you were like, and start their record label. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Have you started a record label before, or is this a new venture that you're like excited to try and
Well, obviously
spark up?
Disturbing was a record label, is a record label. So I know my way around a record label, but I always like having the first conversations with O Beach at the start. I was like, why don't you just have a record label? And they were like, we've just not had anyone to fully take it on. And for me, my whole vision for the O Beach label was Ministry of Sound, club and label. Huge. You're the biggest, you get 2,000 people a day in Ibiza in the summer. That's people to advertise a record label to. Like, it's mad you guys didn't have it. And then they just jumped at it. And then I've had to kind of keep it on a back burner at the minute, but someone else is looking after it because I've been focusing on the club. But yeah, for me, I'll give everything a go.
Yeah. So is the label now set up and
Yeah. Last summer released 5 tracks between now and last summer. It's done well.
Yeah.
Could do with more time, but again, time is hard to come by for me at the minute. So someone else is looking after it, and then I'm just overseeing everything on that.
Yeah. What would you say has been like obviously we spoke about COVID, but coming out of COVID now, what would you say has been like your biggest challenge in your career?
It probably isn't a challenge, but just going back to me shifting off the tour DJ thing, like some places would literally, I'd be fighting clubs saying take Tiny's tour DJ off the flyer. And they're like, yeah, but that's what's selling it. So when they're telling you that, it's a bit more like, am I actually Charlesy? Do you get what I mean? Yeah. Or are you just booking me because of Tiny's name on it? So I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges, but got through it. But I don't know, there's not many.
What about some of the learning curves that stick in your mind the most? You know, like things like the traffic, the flow of traffic, those kinds of things that you don't necessarily think about beforehand, but have been brought to light during an event.
Understanding who you're marketing to is a big thing. And I've not even mentioned I'm involved in the marketing of the event, but like making the wrong decision on who the event's actually for, I think is the biggest thing, especially with O Beach. Like, it took a lot to build the identity of what O Beach is and what each day stands for. So it's been a challenge to get that right. But I think it's the most important. What tips do you have,
like in generally speaking, because there's lots of people that watch our pod that are starting side hustles or are in some kind of business or doing something, and obviously marketing plays a part in anything and everything that you do. So what is some tips for people to find out what who their target audience is?
I think straight away knowing what you're strongest in selling, and then just working backwards off that. Like, for example, Saturdays at O Beach's History. I know who that market is. It's UK people that like old school music. So there should be like no reason why you need to deviate off the back of that, where you'd think people would try and market to everyone on this. They'll look at that and think, what is history? Like, to any of us, we say the word history, we know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But then you're sending messages or ads to different demographics. Like, why are you trying to tell a story that they're not going to understand straight away?
No. That's a good tip.
Yeah, but it sounds like you've had like an amazing journey, like from, you know, and I think you've kind of like pursued it, you know, from the age of, 13, and it's like, wait, how one thing I've not asked you actually, how does your brother like feel? Obviously, he was the one that started DJing. Like,
Brother, I'll tell you now, he's one of the best DJs you'll ever hit. Like, to me, hands down. Like, and he was old school garage at the time. But he's like, he just don't care.
Yeah. Did you used to book him as well?
Yeah. Like, we did a few seasons here in Dubai.
Yeah. I met his brother like out here one time, and I came on holiday just on and I was like, you look like twins, like.
Yeah, he's like To this, I don't think he's even interested in DJing at all at the minute, but he's sick. Like back in the day, it was EZ, and then it was my brother that I would look up to and be like, that's technically the best there.
Sick.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? Because obviously you're always pursuing something different. You're finding like different things, and not next as in like you want to do it right now necessarily, but what's the next thing that you want to start to dabble in?
Right now is my whole thing is just making sure that I'm doing everything. So at the minute I'm tour managing. So my summer coming up is half of it is tour managing, a quarter of it's tiny shows, and the other quarter is me DJing. But tour managing is a big part of this year, purely to network more and just basically travel the world again. Like I'm tour managing Eve this whole summer. We've got a full European tour, full 6 weeks in America, and then 2 weeks in Australia. But me tour managing is purely off the back of being tour managed for so long and knowing what works and what don't, to the point where like it's the easiest thing for me at the minute because I know what I'm doing because I've been on the other side. Yeah. And it pays great.
Honestly, a key takeaway for me throughout this conversation has been, if you want to get into something, just go and shadow someone in the industry and understand what it's like in there, and then network to get yourself involved.
The networking thing is just the most important thing for me. Like on a bigger picture and then later on down the line, the reason why I'm doing all this is for me to have my own thing. Like, especially in Dubai, which is close to coming off. Been here for so long, there's just no sense of community. Not community, but like a hub or anyone in the industry or wants to be in industry, somewhere for them to learn these things or someone talking about these things. So my end goal with all of this is take everything I've done, which is why I'm doing tour managing as well, to be able to have this place in Dubai where people can come to and they just learn. Like, for me, it's my kids' future. Yeah. Like, they go to a DJ school. They're learning to DJ. Like, we're recording a podcast here. I want this place to be a place where you can go and do absolutely everything and learn.
I love that. How exciting.
Yeah. So that's
looking forward to seeing that come to fruition.
Yeah. It's crazy because now, like, it's almost like you've come full circle in terms of like what you want to do now. It's almost as if like you've had your moments in terms of like DJing around the world and and stuff, and then you've stepped into more like like almost like production and stuff, and then now it's kind of like, okay, now I want to give back to the next generation.
That's it. Like, and I think my mindset changed when I had kids, and it's like I never had the pressures of going a certain way or going into a certain industry or becoming a doctor or whatever. Like, I don't want that pressure for my kids either, but I want you to learn everything and real life stuff. Like everything that is within our industry, it uses everything outside the industry. Like you can be an accountant in the music industry. You could be a lawyer in the music industry. Like you can be passionate about music and still be them professionals.
Yeah.
And I think people don't think about it enough.
Yeah.
Like you can be, for me, say tour managing, for example, someone who loves traveling or is good at, say, a travel agency, you can be a tour manager.
Yeah.
Like the jobs are endless within our industry, but people just don't know what there is out there.
And they're not thinking about it like that.
No.
They think, and me as well, like if I'm thinking, I want to be in the music industry, you're thinking, got to sing, dance, DJ. You're not thinking about all the behind the scenes people that actually help make everything run seamlessly. It's a good point.
Yeah.
And that's the end goal. And it's coming quicker than expected. And going back to the COVID thing, this whole idea was birthed during COVID.
Oh, sick.
Because it was towards the end of me in the downtime where I was like, I need to have something solid and a future for me and my kids. And then this is where the whole concept came from.
Yeah.
Amazing. So something beautiful was born out of COVID.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Do you think that like what you've been able to do would have been as easy if you didn't have like such an understanding partner, for example. You know, like I know many people in the creative industry, you know, like are in say relationships and stuff, and sometimes you know it can be hard for like the other person, like you touched on it before and stuff, like obviously it seems as if like she's almost like empowering you and supporting you and stuff, but I imagine if she was someone that was like, oh no, like you're always out, come home and stuff, then it might be slightly different.
Yeah, 100%. But it's also having a balance. Like, and that's why when I said earlier about winter and summer, I make sure my winters are here, and that's my family time. We'll go away, we'll go on holiday, so that I can go then and do what I need to do work-wise, and then I come back. Like, them 4 years back and forth, it was like she was fine, but you could tell towards the end, yeah, it's getting a bit much. Like, her sister lives here, and I'll see her sister more than I'd see my wife.
Yeah.
Like, there's only so much you can take of that. And I think having that understanding, plus when I got with my wife, like, everything was at the peak. So she semi knew what she signed up for. And then, yeah, since that day, she's just been understanding. And even with the new concept and the new ideas, she's the one pushing me the most. Like, there was times where, yeah, let's go, but I can't because I'm busy on other stuff. Like, to this day, in the last 3 months, every single day, she's like, what have you done for this today? What have you done for this today? And it's like, that's having someone understanding like that is...
And supportive. Having a supportive partner, I think, is everything for anyone that's trying to do something with themselves. Last question I have for you is, you have lots of family in the music industry. If you didn't have all of your family in the music industry as they are, like being able to look up to them, not having the pressures of, like you said, being a doctor or anything like that, do you think you still would have taken the path of music?
As a kid, I wanted to be a pilot. So, I don't know. Probably not. I think just being born into music, it was always going to happen. I don't know what would have happened if not.
Do you ever have like curiosity as to like, oh, if I didn't do what I'm doing now, like what would I be doing? Do you ever like...
If I'm thinking about this day and age and now, if I had to choose a new career, it would still be creative, probably more on the side of like coding, or I'm a person that I will make a system to make my life easy. Yeah. So there'll be something within that world where I'd be doing something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like to think about it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, man. We have a closing tradition on the pod. We ask all our guests this question. If you could create one rule for everyone in the world to follow, what would it be and why?
Be humble.
What does humble mean to you? Because I feel like it means something different to different people.
Just take every situation, conversation, anyone you meet, just with a pinch of salt, making sure that you're able to not show yourself in a bad way, even if you're a bad person, if that makes sense. Like, I can meet someone tomorrow who I know is nothing like me, probably not a nice person, but I will make sure I'm nice to them, because you never know.
Yeah.
Humility goes a long way, man.
Yeah.
No, Charlesy, it's been good to actually have you on, because like even for me as like a DJ and stuff, like I've known before even meeting you, I knew who you were. I used to listen to like Capital Extra or One Extra back in the day and stuff, and then like obviously seeing you kind of like your career with Tiny and stuff, and then obviously when I did the stuff with KSI and stuff, I've always kind of looked up to you and what you've done.
Did you do the tour I supported KSI on?
Which year was where?
It was his first tour, like Academy tour.
So I've done 3 tours with him. I don't know. I
don't know if you did.
Yeah, no, it might have been before. Like, was that the New Age tour? Was it before? Was it?
I know it was his first tour with the first music.
Was he with Randolph?
Yeah.
So,
it was Randolph.
Yeah. So it probably was then. Yeah, so that's even more mad. Like,
on the same tour.
Yeah. But yeah, like I've got to give you your flowers, man. Obviously, you came here and you came in. Obviously, things didn't go to plan initially, but then you managed to kind of like handle that, and then come out the other side and be successful with it. So
thank you, man.
Yeah,
it's been a really interesting insight into what actually goes on behind the scenes. There's so much more to DJing and the background of everything inside the music industry, then someone like myself who's not in it just has no idea. So thank you for coming and being so
All good.
open. And
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll come back again when the concept and the thing's ready to go.
Please,
Yeah, man, for sure.
Thank you, guys.